What's going on, everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys know what it is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression podcast. My time is Rocks, Rock, and I'll Thrive. Wish you guys a very, very happy Thursday. It is May 13th. Tomorrow's my mom's birthday, so happy birthday, mommy. About a day early, but we have a great guest for you today. So you guys know the band Royal Bliss? Yeah, you've seen them pop up, probably at some point in their 20-year career on your radar. We're getting some popularity with a top 20 single at some point in 2019, but of course, COVID hit. These guys have been working hard, and they are coming back with a force. They're playing at Rockfest in 2021 here in Cadott, Wisconsin, and of course, we have a lot of great stuff to talk about with them. I get to sit down with Neal from the band, and we really went in deep with a lot of fun stuff where we talked about their brand new song that just came out called Fire Within. Want to make sure I got that right. And just the mentality behind bands returning, fans returning to shows, the mentality behind how Neal and the guys captured all the emotions of the initial lockdown period in 2020 on this upcoming record. And of course, we just dive deep into the song to really give you a feeling of, how the song really shows you that keeping that fire burning within is a great idea. Now, enough with my radio voice. Are you guys ready? Because I am, so let's go! Yeah! Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression podcast. This band, I've always seen them come across my Spotify or from mentions or anything at once a week at some point. So I'm like, you know what? I gotta listen to these guys' music. Let's see what happens. And after sending me an email, it's like, okay, we got him on the podcast. Here we go. And even before we started, this guy here was cooking dinner for his family and, almost messed it up until his wife gave the taste test and said, you got lucky on this one because the pasta was cooked to perfection. So everybody, please welcome Neal from the band Royal Bliss. So Neal, welcome to the Chord Progression podcast, man.
It's good to be on. Thank you, everyone. Thank you around the world. I almost burned my house down right before this and made a huge mess, and my wife was going to kill me, but she's ready for me to go back on tour. That's pretty much what's going on.
I mean, that's kind of what it seems, but then again, the fact is, you almost burned down your house. You didn't burn down your house. You almost burned down your house. It's like almost winning. You either win or you don't, and it's
right.
Or like being pregnant. You can't be almost pregnant. It's like you're either are or you're not. So you didn't burn down the house. Dinner was done. And by the time your wife got home, dinner was pretty much done, even though they said the prep time was, 15 minutes, and you were going on 35 because they lied on the prep time?
Yeah. That's for some famous, fancy professional cook, not me. I guess you're supposed to be cooking 3 things at the same time, and that's ridiculous.
Who has that many, stovetops? Because
hands. I don't have 3 hands to be turning the sausage and mixing the spinach and cooking noodles, and then 4 things because then I was supposed to microwave the sauce. I don't know. It's one of those things where I can do one thing well at one time, and that's about it. When you add another, then it gets difficult. When you add 3, you're pretty much screwed when it comes to me. So I'm not the best multitasker.
And then when you add 4, all hell breaks loose. It's pretty much going to have to come at a point where if you're going to want to be able to pull that off, you're going to have to be able to work with both your hands and then also be sitting down on an elevated seat so that you can use your feet as hands at the same time and kind of act like a full functioning, I don't know, what kind of primate uses. Something like that. Some other kind of primate where their feet are also used as grasping tools in hands at some point.
Yeah,
that's what you kind of got to do.
Yeah, I don't think my wife would be down with me using my feet to touch any sort of food that's going to go in her mouth.
If she saw it, it'd be like, no, I'm not eating that. No.
Were you using the spatula with your toes? Yeah, nope. I don't even care if it's not even touching the food. Just the fact that your toes are touching the spatula, she's done.
Oh Lord. Well, I feel like there's gonna be a one point before touring resumes. All of a sudden, you're just gonna end up cooking dinner. Hi, honey, welcome home, and all of a sudden, you're gonna have multiple different utensils in your toes, just for the fact of her just being like, "Were you cooking with your feet?" No. Why'd you say that?
Yeah. Just to throw her off, and then be like, "Here you go. It's delicious. Have a good night, honey."
It's yummy. It's got a little jam on it, though, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, Neal, as we get this podcast rolling, I always start out this podcast at some point by asking whatever guest I have on 3 different questions. First 2, the first 2, they're very simple. They're very nice. They're very easy. The last one puts you on the spot.
Oh,
So the questions are number one, I say instead of A, what is your name? 2, when it comes to the band Royal Bliss, what do you do in the band? And 3, I want to know some little fun fact or wacky story about yourself that will hopefully make me laugh to the point where I fall out of my chair. The podcast I shot right before this, I heard a story about how a bassist for a certain rock band, his trick was taking his balls out, lighting them on fire, and acting like nothing happened.
Wow. What, were you interviewing Hinder?
The story was about Hinder. I was on an interview with Diamante.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
But yeah, it was the Hinder bassist.
That is pretty funny. I caught that one.
Absolutely didn't even you knew it right away. It was awesome.
My name is Neal Middleton, and I'm the singer of the band Royal Bliss. And God, things about me. Oh, geez, I don't. This is where I always go blank in these interviews. There's a million different stories and a million different things. I'm trying to hold my computer as steady as I can because I can't see anything. But man, I don't know, something weird and quirky about me. What's funny is like any of our fans watching right now probably have 15 different stories about me doing something stupid. Well, that's one of the last times I was in Wisconsin. I was with the band Wayland, and we were playing Crystalgram Ballroom. And I like to have a good time. And there's a tree behind the venue. And I decided I wanted to climb that tree, and it had no limbs on it. And I climbed up to the top of that tree. Probably, I don't know. I got up. I can't remember how high it was, probably 60 feet. And then slowly started coming down. And then the last probably 30 feet, I fell and hit most of the branches on the way down and then smacked onto the cement. And the people from Wayland ran over like, oh, shit. And I just jumped back up and was just like, what's up? And then went back in and continued to go to a tour bus and kept partying. And they were just like, thought I was dead. I don't, which is not great. It's not great. I hope my mom doesn't watch this, but I have a lot of those. I tend to get hurt quite a bit, and it's always self-inflicted. I do a lot of dumb shit, and but I'm doing better now. I'm trying to not climb things because I tend to fall out of them. And I even the other time in Madison, I fell on the railroad tracks and totally scraped my whole face up. And that's where they found me. It was laying out by the railroad tracks. And I was just kind of laying there looking at the stars, and they came over like, oh my God. And I didn't even realize I had cut my face, but yeah, that's some of my stories.
Some good ones. I always like to hear stories where people kind of potentially, injure themselves or actually injure themselves, because for me, especially, like, I've got plenty of different stories when it comes to going to different shows, and all of a sudden it's like, yep, there's a mosh pit there. Yep, I'm jumping in there. And then just next thing you know, there's definitely something wrong with my face at some point. It's never going to be a thing where my face ends up leaving a show without some sort of crazy like cut on it or just some crazy bruise. It always happens, and I'm always happy about it.
That means you had a good time.
It really does, especially when I bleed so much where I have to stop it by pushing a bunch of paper towel right up in my eye because the cut is right above my eyeball. And then to tie it on there, I take a piece of someone's flannel shirt, rip it off, tie it around my eye, and I look like a pirate the whole entire time.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling well. It's empowering, It's like, and you don't feel stupid at all the next day, and your bandmates are super happy that you did it because they're like, yeah, oh yeah, that's all we want is our singer to get really hurt and not be able to play any shows. So, that's I always love the conversations the next morning when I go, what happened? And then they have to proceed to tell me what happened. But I'm doing better now. I went all of 2020 without even having a drink. And so I didn't have any stupid accidents in 2020, go figure, because I wasn't on the road or wasn't, playing rock star. So I've done a lot better.
Thor, I think I may have taken those accidents for everybody because, of course, 2020, no shows happening ever since middle of March. And it was somewhere I'm like, yeah, I should probably not get injured or anything. But then like 2 months into it, next thing you know, I'm in the hospital because there's something wrong with my tummy. I'm not feeling very well, and it just keeps getting worse. And next thing you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours later, I'm already on the operating table because they have to take out my appendix.
Oh yeah, one of those things.
And the full-time job that I work as well, my boss literally looked at me and said, or on a call, he said, "I know the reason why they had to take out your appendix. It's because you haven't been in a mosh pit for more than 2 months, and your body is trying to find a way to hurt itself." And I looked at my phone. I said, "You know what, man? I can't disagree with you because I do miss him. I do miss him. It's almost a year. It's over a year at this point, man.
Yeah.
It's hard."
When it's a part of your life, man, it's therapy. It's that medication that people need. And we've been able to play a few small shows around Utah, and you just feel that energy that everybody's just so grateful that you're back on stage and they're at a live concert and able to have that connection with other human beings. And even though, you can only have a certain amount of people, or 20% capacity is basically what we could do. But man, the people, I would have grown men crying, just being like, "Thank you so much for doing this. I've been crying ever since you got on stage. I don't even know what to do." And it's one of those things where you see how much it means to people, the fans and the bands alike, and the crew and everybody that is part of the industry. It's like we're all missing a piece of ourselves, and I'm missing the full energy of the live crowd. It's like I will never take for granted being on stage again, and I hope that no other musician does either. And I hope that the fans appreciate the live concerts more too, because really it is what's missing in so many people's lives, is that release, that energy that we share with one another when we have one thing in common, and that's watching live music and just getting all those inner demons out in a positive way instead of other ways.
Yeah, I was just gonna jump on that and say the same exact thing in terms of the reason why we all love it so much, and the reason why it's so much a powerful thing is because when we're all there, we're all there together for something that makes us feel some sort of incredible positive emotion, whether it's happiness, whether it's relief, no matter what it is. It's the fact that we're all there. It's a family vibe that we honestly all miss. I mean, hell, for the fans, for me, from my perspective, it's just, again, like I've said this in the podcast before, and first I'm saying to you, but like here in Milwaukee, especially going to the rave, every time I go see a show, there was always like 9 or 10 people. I'd see them at every single show I went to. And they're like my concert family. I have no idea what the hell their names were. No one knew what each other's names were, but we all knew each other's faces. I'm pretty sure the only reason we didn't talk to each other is because the only time we saw each other was bouncing around the pit. But hell, it was somewhere like, I miss those people. I kind of I'm wondering like, what happened to this person? What happened to this person? And when's the next time we're able to see each other again? Because I'm pretty sure the next time we see each other is going to be in a pit, and one of us is going to level the other. And we're going to look at each other and just smile at the fact that probably me on my back going like, "Dude, that was awesome. Pick me up, please."
Yeah, it'd be a killer reunion, man. That's what I'm excited about too. Like seeing some of the first shows. Well, I mean, I got to see it for some of the first shows, but as we are able to open up more and more, and people can actually be there close to each other and not in their little area with just their friends, because you do have these friends that you only see at concerts, like you're saying, like that's your family away from, your work, or even away from your own family sometimes. Like if your husband or your wife or your girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever, aren't into live music, and you have this whole other group of people that you only see at a live concert. And I think, like I'm saying, man, like I think people are really missing that connection, and it's going to be a good year when at the end, come fall, when we're really able to open up. And I believe that's going to happen around then. That, man, the energy in those concerts, I think, will be some of the best energy that we've ever felt. So
it's going to be just a bunch of pent up energy, and it's going to be released again in that most positive way, because it's been something we've been waiting for at that point, like over almost a year and a half. And it might be a little bit less than that, because I know you guys are playing at Rockfest here in Cadott, Wisconsin, or even though I'm Milwaukee, but my buddy did tell me that that I do have a free ticket for it, so I will probably end up there that weekend at some point. It'll be interesting to see on that one, due to the fact that it is in July. It still is it's a larger festival, but it'll be interesting to see kind of how things play out, because it might be a good precursor and a good determiner to see what's going to happen with some of these larger festivals starting up back in September, like Incarceration, Louder Than Life, Blue Ridge, and then some of the ones going in October and November as well. So hopefully with that going on, and then also with tours kind of coming back, especially later in the year, September really starting out, but it seems like September, October, November is really when we're going to get the full-on kick in. It's going to be interesting to see how everybody reacts to it, because I know it's going to be a huge positive reaction from the fans that are there, but it all is going to depend upon how many fans are going to be able to be there, and then how many fans are going to want to be there based on different perceptions with, is it safe? Is it not safe? Do I want to go and be one of the first ones to go to this kind of thing? Or do I want to wait back a couple of months, see how things play out, and then go for it?
Yeah. And I think you have that even now. Like, we're able to open up and have a little bit more GA now. I mean, technically we could have a full capacity room. We own a live music venue here in Utah called the Royal, and we're playing there this weekend. And we haven't advertised that we're full capacity, because basically at full capacity, everybody that is not sitting down is supposed to be wearing a mask, which is really hard to monitor 500 people. And so we've just been selling it out still around 30-40% capacity, just because it's still like, a lot of people, when we found out we were doing GA, canceled tickets. We're just like, well, if I can't be in my own little area and away from everybody, or at least like some sort of distancing, then I can't do it. I don't want to, I'm not ready for that yet. And I think it's going to start, people are going to start going out and experiencing these things. Like, there's probably going to be a mask mandate on Rockfest. I don't know for sure, but there's no way in hell all those people are going to wear masks. It's not a chance. And there's no way that all of them are vaccinated either. But those people that don't feel comfortable, unfortunately, I mean, they're just going to have to stay home. And those that are ready to get out and rock, I hope there's enough of them to have it make sense for these festivals to go on. And I do hope that people do still kind of follow some sort of guideline to a point and have respect for people. You know, if someone's at the festival wearing a mask and the other person's not, and starts giving each other shit about it, which is stupid, you know, just let people do what they're going to do. And don't criticize each other. You know, I think that we can go back to playing live festivals. We can go back to doing this. I mean, we're going to be fully vaccinated come next week, the whole band, because we're just like, let's get vaccinated. Screw it. Let's get it out of the way so we can tour comfortably. Because me on stage, I have to admit that there's been times I've been playing and, you know, there's a full crowd like throughout the room, and I'm singing loud and spitting, you know, and all this is coming out, and I'm putting out a lot. And I'm just like, man, what if I was sick and I got some other people sick in this crowd? I mean, it started to kind of get to me, because, you know, the whole asymptomatic thing, you don't really know if you're sick. Some people don't. And I've been extremely fortunate to not come down. I've been tested multiple times. Anytime I'm worried that I may have been around somebody, I would go get tested before I played a concert. But, you know, I'll be fully vaccinated now, and I feel comfortable that after that, I'll be able to get up on stage. I won't worry about being around people. I can be around people with masks, without masks. I don't really give a shit at that point. I've done my part to, you know, get vaccinated so we can kind of move forward, whether it works or not. But, you know, we can't stay isolated for the rest of our lives, plain and simple. We got to get back out there and do what we can. And I think we've done what at least Royal Bliss has done everything we can to still be able to do music and still be able to provide that medication, how I keep calling it, to people. And I hope the festivals go out without a hitch, and the, you know, media and different people don't pounce on them and try to find, you know, that it was like a mass spreading event or anything like that, and that people just do common sense and wash their damn hands and, you know, don't spit in people's faces. It's like, nobody likes being sick. So this has kind of been a wake up call for everybody that goes to, you know, events full of people. It's just basic common courtesy and just wash your hands and try to be respectful of people around you, and cover your mouth when you cough, and don't flick your boogers.
That's a good way to put it. And then that is interesting to see just what's going to happen with some of these festivals and some of these shows, especially the early ones. And Rockfest is a perfect example of with it happening in July. Is with the fans that are going to be there, there are going to be people that are going to be vaccinated. There are going to be people that are not going to be vaccinated, people that are going to wear masks, or people that aren't going to wear masks. And it's just kind of at that point where we're going to have to get back to normal at some point. And it's not going to be something that's going to be just a quick, you know, okay, this day everything's back to normal, everyone's okay. It's going to be a slow transitional process. It depends on the person. It's going to depend upon if you're vaccinated or not, if you're comfortable, if you want to wear a mask or not, if you feel just like, okay, you know, I'm just ready to go back and do this again. I'm fully vaccinated and we're set and ready to go. It's going to be somewhere, especially at one of those festivals, you're going to see people that are going to take certain more precautions than you might be, or less than you might be, just kind of let it happen, because what's going to end up happening is if we all of a sudden, it's like we're trying to police everybody in terms of, oh, you're not, washing your hands enough, you're not wearing a mask, you're not doing this, that. The fest, whatever music festival is going to be, the overall reception of it's going to be low, because everyone's going to be so worried and so onto everybody that we're not going to have fun watching these bands play live that we've been waiting over a year to have happen again. So it's just kind of make sure that you're enjoying yourself and the way that you feel comfortable enjoying yourself. And if you see other people doing something that doesn't, hey, they're not wearing a mask, just you don't have to be by them. You don't have to be by them.
Exactly.
Plus it's Rockfest. It's summer. It's an outdoor thing. We're going to have lots of ventilation going on.
Yeah. And no matter what, it's going to be a great time. So whatever the experience, and I hope that there's not, the people aren't too paranoid about it. And like I said, unfortunately, those ones that are too paranoid that they won't be able to have a good time, you might want to wait a little bit longer before you come out to a festival. And those that are ready to rock, then come the fuck on and let's get down,
Exactly, because I forgot, it was John Taffer who said this, was about bars, but it applies to music as well. When it comes to the stuff coming back, we're going to have 3 different tiers of people that show up. We're going to have the first tier of people where right when we're able to go back and do this stuff, like go back to live music, no matter what happens, we're going to be there. I'm definitely in tier 1 on that point, because I'm already looking okay, when is stuff going to start popping up around here that, people can kind of get a little bit more together with, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm going to be there. There's going to be tier 2 that's going to wait a couple months just to see how things play out. But then there's going to be tier 3 that are going to wait a lot longer until it's kind of like they feel fully safe to kind of just go back to normal. So there is going to be that slow transitional period there in that term. However, with some of the people that are a little bit more nervous to just jump back into it, but still are going, just for all of us that might be there, just, going crazy, people that are taking a little bit more precautions, just let it be. Just chill, guys. Just chill. We're all here to have a good time. Let's just all enjoy live music being back, because it's a positive experience. It's that drug for the emotions, that drug for your mental state, and it's for the positive. So let's just let that happen.
Yep. I concur.
That's a great way to put it. I concur. And it's going to be interesting again to see what happens. But again, I think Rockfest is going to be like that first festival to really kind of gauge what's going to happen the rest of the year. So all of us that are going there, you got to make sure it goes off without a hitch. So,
oh yeah, let's have some fun. I'm looking forward to that one.
I'm just gonna say this. I'm looking at you while also looking into the camera and knowing that I'm pointing right at my face at the same time as well. So I'm looking at me as well.
Yeah, I like it.
Some weird optical illusion stuff. But also, I know you guys, because I was doing the preview stuff for today, I know you guys got a brand new song coming out on Friday, April 23rd. We are shooting this, again, before this thing comes out, but by the time this episode comes out, the single will come out. Is called Fire Within. And, well, I got to listen to a good amount of it today. I probably listened to it full times through. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I think 10 might be the right amount of times. Because when it came down to it, hey, man, it's a brand new song. I want to make sure that when I listen to it, I kind of got a real feeling behind it, a real understanding behind it. Every time I see new music come out and I get to talk to someone on the podcast about it, I want to go as deep as possible as I can with it, because I've found out some things with music, especially analyzing it, especially with the way I do it. There are certain nuances with certain things where if on the surface, they just might not necessarily hit with my style, but if I go deeper into it and try and understand it, then I find out some things about the incredible genius behind the different styles of music, behind different progression way songs are built. Even though the sound might not necessarily be something that I fully care for in the end, but I can see where this is going and see, like, in terms of the song, is this an awesome song or not? And then if people ask me, well, do you have a song for this, song for this, song for this? I can just start recommending it to people and be pretty much on top of it. So nice. That's why I do it.
What'd you think?
Well, we'll start talking about it. We'll ask you this because I've got a lot. I can go into this whole entire thing probably for like an hour probably, but I'm not sure if anyone wants to hear it. But always the first question I ask is, when I go through something like this, is I try and find out, as I listen to the song first time, try and really figure out what the meaning of the song is. And the reason I do that is because I try and figure out where it's going, and then I can kind of figure out how the instrumentals are really taking on that feeling, taking on those emotions, and really kind of telling the story of the message through that way. And then go to the vocals, go to the different tones, go to the different lyrics, and just kind of put it all together in the end. And when it came to this song, because seeing Fire Within, at first I'm thinking about, okay, are we talking about like full on fire or something, or what's going on? But I always looked at this one as about overcoming obstacles in your life, knowing that there is a desire and passion, willingness to persevere inside you, even when bad things are happening. Very similar to what happened with the COVID situation where, yeah, things keep going bad. Things just are getting worse and worse and worse, but there's still going to be some sort of fire within us that when we feel, motivated, when we have had enough of the bad times, we're going to figure out a way to make those bad times the good times again. Even if that fire is, like the pilot light just barely on and no gas really going to it. It's like, that little blue flame. Over time, next thing you know, you've got a gas bit leak and all of a sudden that blue flame is just going to go poof. All depends on the moment. So I always bring up, I bring up the meaning first because that's what I got out of it. I'm not sure if you guys meant to go that route, but that's what I got out of it. So I always got to ask, what did you guys write the song about?
Yeah, I mean, you basically nailed it on the head. It was one of those songs, like I tend to write as people, like this song I went with my friend Justin Reimer. He was a former member of the band 12 Stones. I think he's actually done some more stuff with 12 Stones recently. And we used to tour with him, and he became a really good producer and songwriter. And I went and visited him in Memphis at his studio, and he had a couple starts of songs. And this was one of the songs that he had. He had pretty much the music written. And so I just said, oh man, I love this. And I said, give me the mic and press record. And so, which is basically the way I write most of Royal Bliss songs, is I just grab a mic and they jam, and then I make up stuff and just freestyle and kind of let things come out. And as I think we did like 3 or 4 tracks of it, and Fire Within was born. I mean, the song, there was so much of that first tracking, the first time through, that we kept. And then it kind of, I brought it to the band and showed the band, and then, they added some of their elements to it. And then, we all laid it down, and the lyrics came to life a lot more. I was away, and I was thinking about my kids and thinking about, myself as well. So it's almost like, one of those songs, it's like a self-talk, because I've been through so much in my life, and so many times that people have told me I can't do this. I can't be a musician in a band. I can't open up a live music venue. I can't, got to stick with the mold. I need to go to college. I need to go do this. I need to do the same thing that so many other people do, but I never wanted to. It never put gasoline in my fire. And then having kids, it's like, I want them to have that same message, and thinking about everybody in the world that, kind of goes through adversity and has those moments where, really the best way to be unique is to just be yourself and let yourself, shine. And, sometimes I'm like, man, it's kind of a cheesy song in that aspect, but really I find it more powerful. And I've been through a lot in my life. If this was a song written by an 18-year-old or a 14-year-old or something like that, it would be a little bit harder to believe. But if you really watch the Royal Bliss story and everything that we've been through as a band as well, like we've hit every wall and every bump in the road that we possibly could, and been given every opportunity to quit and give up. And we've never given up. And that's because we love being on the stage so much that, there is that fire inside us to play music, and it's lit every time we get on that stage. And so this song is that song to hopefully inspire people to just be yourself and not listen to the naysayers, not listen to all that negativity that's out there telling you can't accomplish things. But, just like you said, there is a flame inside us all. And no matter what your dream is, your dream can be to, my son wants to be a train engineer, and that's his dream, his passion. And it's just like, just be the best one you can possibly be, no matter what it is. And if that's what you want to do, be the best at it and get all the routes that you want to, be the engineer on. And no matter what walk of life, you don't have to be a rock star or anything like that. It's just, no matter what walk of life it is, no matter what you want to do, you want to be a painter, you want to be the best garbage man you can. And somebody's like, oh no, you got to be a doctor. Be like, no, you know what? I want to pick up garbage for the rest of my life, and I'm going to have a blast doing it. It's like, whatever lights your fire, whatever puts gasoline on it, that's what you got to do. And that's basically what the song's about. And like I said, like when we wrote it, it just came out. And that's what was on my mind was, I think we were in a kind of a moment there. We were struggling a little little lost. And a lot of the lyrics I write are, you know, kind of self-talk to myself to be like, you're going to be all right. You're going to make it through, you know, stop listening to people that telling you can't do what you're doing, and just, you know, keep following your dreams. And that's what I hope people get out of this song.
Oh, absolutely. It's again that way of just keeping that fire lit, because inside of us, we always are going to have that fire lit. It just depends upon how big it's burning. And somewhere kind of like you're saying with your son wanting to be a train engineer, it's something where I look at that as well and just take a look at this song. It kind of has that meaning of that fire inside of us is all going to be completely different in terms of what ignites it, what lights it, what makes it go. Because for someone who really wants to be a doctor or a nurse and help save lives is not going to be the same fire that is going to be ignited by someone who wants to be a rock musician, someone that wants to be a train engineer, someone that wants to sit behind a microphone and talk to a bunch of rock musicians and have fun doing it.
Yeah,
like this guy right here. But where I'm going with it is it's where, and you're talking about not paying attention to what the naysayers are saying or what people are trying to kind of push you in a different way. It's very similar to what, when I started this whole entire thing, I was paying attention to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. And one of the biggest things with his ideas, success is relative in terms of happiness. So it kind of correlates with that, where everyone thinks success is, oh, you made a lot of money, you own a lot of things, you have a lot of wealth. Yeah, that's great and all, but are you happy? Because I've got friends who, like one of my friends, he cuts metal for a living, owns a house, is getting married in October, and is the happiest as possibly can be. Who the hell is to say that guy is not winning at life, because he knows what makes him happy and he is making it happen for his whole entire life. And that's kind of look at my friends as well. Like there's certain of us where it's like, we are just trying to do when it comes to life, what is going to make us happy? What do we want to do with life? And we're just going to go for it, because we only get one shot at this thing. Why would we do anything else instead? Why would we play it safe? Why the hell should we play it safe when we only get one shot at it?
And sometimes you got to walk away from those friends that are bringing you down too. You know, that's where a lot of things that I went through in my life too, where, you know, a lot of so-called friends want to keep you where you're at because, you know, they're jealous if you are successful, and all those kind of people are people that you don't need in your life. They're toxic. So unfortunately, sometimes you got to leave some people behind that maybe you've been friends with your entire life, but if they're holding you back from your dreams, you got to say goodbye. You know, that's just like, which is hard to do. And I've had to do that as well. You know, even with members of our band where it's just like, this isn't working out. It's toxic, man. And as much as you love that person and they influence your life, whenever they're holding you back, sometimes they're dousing your flame. And you got to be like, no, you got to figure out and be around those people that encourage you and build you up. And so surround yourself with people that you're inspired by. That's the number one.
Yeah, because I think there's another quote. It's like, you're most like the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with, or the 5 people that you're closest with. So when it comes to like, I'm not talking about family on this aspect. I'm more looking at like friends, because family, most time they're going to be there. Most time they're going to be supportive of your dreams, what you want to do, and make sure that you want to be happy and stay that way. However, when it comes to friends, like who you're hanging out with, what's that kind of group? You're going to kind of take pieces of that and kind of essentially kind of become like, if you mix all of them together, and if all of a sudden you're hanging out with like your closest 5 friends are going to end up being people that are, you know, consistently dragging you down away from your dreams and potentially, you know, a lifestyle that you don't want, but you're going to consistently hang out with them, you're going to slowly start to shift over that way because of the constant influence that's there. On the other side, if you got 5 friends that you're closest with, and you know everyone's they're driven, they're supporting you, you're supporting them, you're just going to create this entire support system to the point where, you know, come 10 years down the line, everyone, you know, they might be progressing in their goals, in their life, in their career, whatever it might be they want to do. But it's just that support of happiness is absolutely incredible. And it's something that gets taken for granted immensely in this world.
Oh yeah. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
It really is. But in the end, it's something that, especially with a song like this, it helps you realize something like that. It helps you realize that there are times where things are going bad in life. There's times where you have people in life that might be bringing you down, whether you just met them or whether you've known them for most of your entire life. It could be that way. But there is always at least some portion of fire within inside of you that can be lit at any given moment to make you change the course or make you motivated or do whatever it is to make sure that you get on the path that you want to be on, and that when it comes to being a success with your happiness being the relative factor in there, that is the key.
Yep, it is. And there's a lot of songs on this album that are, have that same kind of theme of, we have a song coming out soon called Lead the Way and Survival and Black Rhino and songs like that. And then, Chasing Stars is another song. It's all these new songs that are coming out. And, this year, the 2020, I wrote all the lyrics for these songs during that time frame, like when we were on lockdown. And that's what I noticed online and through friends that I've had on my own, that there's so much doubt and so much worry in their lives, and listening to so many different opinions coming from every angle, because now all that we had to connect to was social media and all these strong opinions and different content coming at you, that it was a little overwhelming for certain people. And I saw like the mental toll that it took on them. And that was a major influence in these lyrics, and especially kids. I think kids, like having my kids home, not being able to go to school, not being able to have that connection, and other kids as well. So I had children in my mind a lot when writing these songs, just like, man, there's so much social media and shit that they're exposed to every single day that I wasn't exposed to growing up. And I can only imagine that kind of pressure. I mean, all I had pressure was from my neighborhood, my local school. And if I went to church, and it wasn't a whole lot. Now it's like you have all those things and multiplied by a billion, because they want to be a YouTube star, or they want, TikTok star, or whatever the hell. And it's just those things where I'm like, man, don't chase the money. I see and like we discussed, like we're a rock band, but rock musicians don't make a lot of money anymore. But I'm happy, I have a house, I have a beautiful family. And as hard as this lifestyle is, which some people have no idea how difficult it is to live on the road and be away from your family and working your ass off every single day, promoting yourself, marketing yourself, writing songs, getting better at your craft, that it's they think we're super wealthy or whatever, and we're not. We do this because we absolutely love it, and we'd probably shrivel up and die. But and that's what I want to encourage youth of tomorrow to be like. It doesn't have to be so. You don't have to have 1 billion followers on YouTube or all this shit to have a sense of identity. It's like, get out and see the world that it really is. Go camping, go out, chase stars, and not be stuck trying to make videos to post and watch your likes on social media to be like, oh, I got 80 likes today, people like me, and then be depressed the next day because you got 10. It's songs that are like, and the people that your friends that want to drag you down. I wish you had the album already so I could explain songs that and the lyrics that are on them. But a lot of it's let me out of my cage, and Chasing Stars is about getting out and see the world. Just like, Fire Within is that too, where, I see my kids, they're stuck on screens and stuck playing video games and everything else. And I have to convince them, hey, we're going to go camping this weekend. We're going to go on an adventure. And sometimes it's difficult, but they got a lot better with it. We're like, yeah, sweet, let's go do something, because real life experience is so much better than being stuck behind screens and watching and waiting. And I think us as adults, and me and myself included, I get stuck on my phone way too often. And sometimes I follow the likes as well, be like, oh man, Royal Bliss our numbers didn't go up this week, or what do I need to be doing? And I guess there's some relevance in it because it's my company too, but I don't want my kids or any kids to be stuck on numbers like that, to be stuck on a computer worrying about what their worth is due to some thumbs up on a screen. And so a lot of these songs have that kind of drive where it's like, again, don't listen to everybody else, listen to what's in your heart and go for it. And you don't have to commit to anything at any point in your life. That's, the old way of doing things is, go to college and have a career and blah, blah, blah. And, my wife's 38 and she's going to college right now for the first time to become a teacher because she finally figured out what she wants to do. She did a bunch of stuff before then, and now she's super happy. She found something that she loves. And I feel like kids want, at young ages want so much so fast. And this record, I think, is hopefully going to inspire them to slow down a little bit and enjoy the small things and take time. Be a kid, for hell's sake.
And not only that, but it seems like with a lot of the themes that are on this record as well, it takes a look, especially with you writing them, especially during that initial lockdown period. I recently had a conversation with Justin from the metalcore band Wrist Meet Razor. We talked about this where, and I think your album is going to specifically speak this, especially being written around that time, is the fact that when it comes to what has happened during this pandemic, especially the early portion of it, we know what has happened in terms of the events that had happened, in terms of how people reacted to them in more of a contextual way with, how much video evidence we have, social media evidence we have, news sites, all that. But what's hard to remember is the emotional state that we were in, like how we were considering things, this sheer unknown that we had gone through. And in a discussion with Justin, the only people that can really put that forward and really put a stamp on that are artists, whether it's, visual art, audio art, like music, or physical art, whatever it might be, because they capture the emotion of what was going on at that time. So you're capturing the emotion of that kind of that what was going on, and then different things going on with your kids, because they weren't able to go and be kids because everything was shut down, and the only real interaction they had might have been through social media, through video games. But that's still becoming more and more of a prevalent thing over the course of time. I mean, hell, when I was in high school, it still was that same way. But compared to if I was in high school now versus when 10 years ago when I was in it, again, I'd probably be on my phone like 3 or 4 times as much as I was back in 2011 as I am now, as I would have been in 2021. Even right now, for myself, I'm on my phone all the freaking time during the day. But it's because when it comes to the podcast and MSOD Rocks, that's where it lives. So if I'm going to want to make my business a thing, it's going to live there. And also, one of the biggest things you said was just going after knowing what makes you happy. It's not trying to chase likes or anything, or chase views, or chase follows, or whatever, subscribers, whatever it might be. Because even I'll use the podcast example. Are there times where I look at the numbers? Yeah, there are times where I look at the numbers like, man, I wish I would be getting these kind of numbers. I really wish it after 2.5 years of doing this. But I also look back at it another way and say, but if I was in it just for the views, if I was in it just for the money, if I was in it just because I thought it would be a financially good idea, would I still be doing this at 180 episodes into this? Yeah. And I was looking, I'm like, hell no, I wouldn't be doing this. Even though there's episodes where some get more views, some get less views, some get more comments, less likes, more likes, whatever. I'm not getting the same amount of views or likes as some of these other much larger podcasts, but you know what? When it comes down to it, I'm enjoying doing all these. The podcast is growing at some point, and when it comes down to it, I'm enjoying this. The bands that I have on, the guests I have on, are enjoying these types of conversations as well, and we're just enjoying it. So by the end of the day, I'm happy. Whenever I get a chance to do something like this, I look forward to this every single day. Hell, when I got home today from my full-time job, I was dead tired because I woke up at 4:30 in the morning. I got back at 4:30 in the afternoon. I'm just like, how the hell am I going to do this? Right when I saw that first call come on, I'm just like, right when I saw that name pop up, I'm like, I'm ready. Let's go. It's something that if you find something like that makes you that energized, that makes you that happy, that no matter how you're feeling, when you start working at it, it's just the coolest thing in the world, then you have something. That's the thing you should potentially be going for, because if we learn anything with COVID as well, nothing is certain in this life. And we only get one shot at it. It's kind of like that all or nothing kind of thing. What would you rather do in an all or nothing situation? Go for it all or play it safe? But you only get one shot at it, and that's it. Yep. Why not go for it all, man?
You got to go for it all. And I mean, I guess there are people that are completely content, in a steady life. So I can't say, but again, it goes back to, doing what you love, and whether that is, attaining, the biggest podcast in the world, or being one of the biggest bands in the world. And if it is that, you got to put in the work to get there. But if you don't love doing it, then you're going to be miserable the whole time getting there. So that's the thing where, I've had extremely hard days and weeks and months, but like I said, once I get on that stage, or once I write one of these songs, the feeling I get is incomparable to anything else in my life. And that You know, I tell every band coming up, if you don't love it, absolutely love being on that stage for 20 minutes to an hour and a half to 3 hours, so damn much, you're going to be miserable your whole life. And it doesn't matter how many likes or how cool people think you are. You're not going to be a happy person because you're stuck doing something that you hate. And eventually, you know, it's starting to get to a lot more people nowadays. It's really starting to eat them up and spit them out, you know, chew them up, spit them out, because that's why you see so many band members come and go in so many different bands. It's because it's not for everybody. It is not for every. And podcast, doing your 184th podcast, people start podcasts, and I wish I knew the number of how many people start a podcast and don't make it past 10 episodes or 20 episodes, because it's a lot of work that goes into these things. It's a lot of effort, and sitting talking to people every day, coming up with questions and carrying on a conversation isn't easy for everybody. So it's, I mean, it's, yeah, I don't know, man. You gotta love what you do.
Yeah, and if any people are prime examples of, you have to love what you are going to do in order to really just continue to drive. If you want to make something special out of it with whatever you want to do. I mean, take a look at us, take a look at Neal, take a look at me, whichever side of the screen we're on. I don't know which side of the screen you're looking at, but again, like with me, when I started the podcast, I mean, I started with literally nothing. So I was doing episodes by myself, just shooting the shit by myself, going all, basically I was like musically going like Bill Burr. That was pretty much what I was doing. All of a sudden I started interviewing bands, and it was like I started out at a rather low level, but because where else was I going to start? And then over time, it's just, I've enjoyed doing these so much that it's just, I've gotten better when it comes to talking with people, when it comes to talking with bands, even bands from overseas that don't really speak English. Those are always the most interesting ones because I have to change up my whole entire thinking process and style. But I love doing it due to the fact that now I get to know about some of these other bands from other countries that I never would have known about. And I get to get other people into these bands as well. It's something that is incredibly awesome. And then it's just, again, if I didn't absolutely love this, I wouldn't be doing this. If you didn't absolutely love going up on stage, playing live music and writing music and doing everything that comes around there, Royal Bliss wouldn't be as big of a thing as it is. And it wouldn't have lasted more than 20 years. It probably wouldn't have lasted 2, but it has been here for quite a long time. And if you guys didn't love it, if you guys didn't have that fire within, I want to put that in there, then this wouldn't have happened. Yeah. And and there's plenty of times where things are going to go wrong. There's plenty of times where life is going to take a turn and things might change. But if you like living that, like content lifestyle, that steady lifestyle, if that's what makes you happy and you want to live that lifestyle and you do it, congratulations. You literally win at life because you're doing what makes you happy. Trust me on that. Again, success relative to happiness. But even like for myself, starting this podcast, starting Embassy Rocks and all that stuff around there, it came out of severe depression and suicidal tendencies. And it literally was the thing that I'm like, I need to find something for myself. What do I want to do? Because what I thought I wanted to do was that steady kind of thing. And when I realized that was a horrible idea and trying to just find a way out of it, just kept going down and down and down. Thanks to music kind of kept me level. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, what can I do? Well, I love listening to music. I love doing all this stuff. And now it's 3 years later after I started, and here we are. So, woo! Again, when it comes to Fire Within, the perfect idea for that song and the perfect idea for what had happened in 2020, everything about that just sits in this song right here. And when you're talking about the rest of the album as well, you got coming out, I'm thinking, man, I really wish I could have had a chance to listen to the whole entire thing, because we would probably be talking about that thing for 3 hours at this point, just going off on all these different concepts as well. And make sure everyone knows that this album, you listen to it, it's an inspiration to take away all the bullshit in life, take away all the negativity, and take away all the fact that the societal pressures, even to have the fanciest car, have to have the best looking shoes, the most expensive clothes, the best jewelry, the most attractive partner. Whatever. What do you want? What do you want? It's like, well, do you just want to just hang out by yourself and drive a Subaru and just enjoy life and just feel relaxed? Great. Go do that.
Do that. Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly right. Sometimes it takes time to get to where you want to go too.
It does take time, but if it didn't take time, then it might not be worth it. Because if it was something that just happens instantly, it's like that's instant gratification. It kind of just like, but for a lot of things that are great, it's going to take some time.
Yep. Effort, work, memories.
Even use your wife as example as well. It took her a good amount of time for her to figure out what she wanted to do in life, go back to college and become a teacher.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people where, yeah, it might take you some time past that, like, oh, you should know what you want to do in life by 18 or 21 kind of thing. No. Think your idea can change. Your mindset can change, whatever it might be. Just literally follow your heart. Follow that fire that's within you. And you're going to end up living a life that by the time you get to the end of it, by the time you're putting on hole 18 and are going to go call it a day, you're going to look back at the whole entire rest of the round or rest of your life, and you're going to look back and think, did I live the life that I wanted to live?
Yep.
Just think about that. Think about, would you rather have tried certain things in life that you want to try and live the life you want to live? Or would you rather play it safe and go with what different societal pressures want you to do? And when you get to that point where you're putting on 18 of life, you're looking back and thinking, man, I wish I would have done this. What would you rather do?
Yeah. If you're on hole 18, you look back and it's a beat up KOA mini putt, then you're like, oh crap, that sucks. instead of playing, Pebble Beach, you're playing a putt golf course. Then yeah, you're going to be disappointed on hole 18.
Since I'm hoping, I don't golf. I disc golf. I'm kind of the weird one like that, but I'm hoping
We all disc golf.
Yeah. What was that?
So the whole band, that's what we do on tour. We find disc golf courses and get out of the bus and go throw. We call it going trolley and banging some chains. Get out there and toss a few.
Jeez, when you guys come to Wisconsin, I might have to take when you guys come, I might have to take a day. I'll be like, okay, what course you guys hitting up? I'm going to meet you there.
Hell yeah, man. It's a good time.
It always is. But again, because I'm hoping to take a look back at when I get to that point, putting on 18 in my life, take a look back at the course I just played, and I'm hoping it's something like Pebble Beach or Augusta National and not the little putt course that is about 5 miles away from me.
Yeah, exactly.
But jumping back into Fire Within as well, because again, we just talked about the meaning of the song and meaning behind what the rest of the album is going to be in incredible detail as well. Also very inspirational for all you people listening out there, whether you're 15, 85, 55, 25, or even 105 and want to start something new, whatever it might be. Yeah. But because you said that you guys, who was the person that already had kind of this idea written down, and then when it came to the vocals that you put it over, I just want to make sure I get the guy's name right because I want to make sure I give him credit for this stuff.
Yeah, Justin Reimer.
All right, because when I listened to this from, with Justin Reimer putting this together, the intro to this, because it had this like softer build in the guitar, but honestly, what kind of threw me off at first was the tone of it. It kind of had this interesting like grungy guitar tone with a little bit of like a southern rock flair and also a little bit of like an emo touch to it at the same time as well.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the weirdest thing, but it was interesting to me because it sets the scene that sets the song up for the scene of we're starting to get more of the deeper downtrodden state, kind of feel like the fire inside us might be dull. So again, taking a look back at what we've gone through in 2020, what kind of like one more of the lyrics of this stuff would have been written. Again, we didn't know what was going on. Yeah. And everything afforded to us was uncertainty. And it was very, very, very attractive to really play it safe at that point because again, we didn't know what was going forward. So it was an interesting time, and that fire that might have been inside us kind of was a little dull at that point, rather really dull even, because we didn't know what to do. We were scared, and we potentially going after our dreams instead of playing it safe.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been a bad thing. So just that kind of guitar, especially the intro, I mean, it set it up perfectly with that kind of a tone. I was just thinking, well, this is different than I was expecting, but holy shit.
It's like I imagine myself with that, the beginning of the song, like sitting one of my boys down and just beginning to have a conversation after they've had a rough day, or, teenage life is always difficult. So I kind of see myself sitting down and having that conversation with my sons. And that's kind of the beginning of that song, how the vibe comes out, where it's like, all right, put my hand on the back. And it's never easy you got to try to make it through. And sometimes you got to go your own way. And, I also, like this last year, I think mortality became a lot more of a focus for me and for a lot of people, I think, because, you kept hearing about the death tolls going up around the country in different places, and you're starting to hear people that you knew that were getting sick or maybe you're hospitalized. But we knew one of our friends that had passed away from COVID. And my mom is currently battling cancer right now. And so it's been a lot on my brain, and just thinking about, and then also like not being able to, be comfortable to go visit her. So it's one of those things too, where I want these lyrics to be a long lasting message, because you never know what tomorrow is going to bring. And I want my kids to always be able to put on one of Dad's songs and hopefully talk them through some hard times, and anybody else in the world too. Like, it's always one of the best feelings when I have a fan come up and be like, man, your song saved my life, or your song prevented me from committing suicide, it got me off drugs, or it saved my marriage, or something like that, where, like your music got me through one of the hardest years of my life. And that's the best compliment I could ever get, and that's one of the reasons I continue to write music and write it honestly, because obviously these people get what I'm saying. And, I get in those moments too in my life, those dark and heavy moments. And, I hope that I can benefit my kids. And if something were to happen to me tomorrow, then I still have a long lasting message that they'll be able to use forever.
Absolutely. And when it comes to just, again, when fans come up to you and are just talking to you about, your songs may change my life in terms of this, prevent me from committing suicide, save my marriage, whatever it is. When you're speaking honestly through these lyrics and connect them with the instrumentation as well, even though the specific instance that you might be referring to or talking about that you were feeling during this time, it might be completely different than what the other person had been going through. And it's like, oh, this saved your marriage, but this song was for me talking about, something completely different. But the key is the fact that these songs, it's the emotion that you're tying to it. It's the emotion that they're connected with, because the fan is, or whoever is listening to it, is making parallels with their life through the emotion of your music. So that's where the connection comes in. And it could be like, we might have been talking about something else, but that emotion might have been a realization for that person to look at their own life and realize what was going on, maybe a way that they were acting, or maybe a way that they were going about life with that was preventing them from, having the best marriage overall, or being the best parent overall. And just that epiphany moment is all based on the fact that the emotional connection is incredibly strong to get these people to realize, certain things about themselves. But then again, it's all dependent upon how people connect with the music at the same time as well. But when you write honestly like that, that's what is likely going to happen, especially with people listening to music when they're going through rougher times. They're going to end up making parallels within their life. Hell, when people are going through happy times and they listen to songs that really make them happy, they're going to make parallels in their own life as well. It's something that will help us connect to the artist, but also helps us incredibly more to connect with our own emotions ourselves.
Yeah. And I always tell people, people ask me what the songs are about, and I say it on stage all the time too, where it doesn't matter what the lyrics are about to me or what it means to me. I always tell people, like my songs always, it's the lyrics are a gift. This music is a gift to you to take and interpret however you want. And, I don't want what it meant to me to ruin what it means to you. So whatever the song means to you is what the song means.
Yeah, and then continuing on with the song as well with Fire Within, because we talk about kind of just that intro, just really bring that kind of style out. You get into the first verse, it continues on that way, but now your vocals are over it. So when you're talking about kind of imagining with this song at a certain point, what one of your sons is having just a real bad day in teenager life, because we've all gone through that point where, especially in teenager life, if things aren't going right, especially when it has more of like a social structure behind it, feels like, it's the end of the world kind of thing, because that's all you really know. You don't necessarily know how much bigger it is, especially, same thing with me. I didn't know, like in high school, it's like certain things would happen. It's like, this seems like it's the end of the world. But now I look back, I'm like, that was the most insignificant little piece of crap that happened. Why was I so worried about it? But when we got to the second and third verse on this one, because the second and third verse kind of more of a different sound to it, the same guitar tone was there, but then there's like a rather kind of very simplistic kind of drum pattern that was put behind it, and it adds a little more of that, like a slower kind of emo feel to the song. But I'm not talking emo like MCR or Dashboard Confessional or something like that, but it's kind of like a means to pull the emotions presented and lighting the fire inside you to overcome whatever's in your way. So it's kind of just is that, throwing the kindling in the fire a little bit at that point, but it's not necessarily emo, but I use that term just to say it's starting to pull the emotion out of you at this point with those instrumentals.
Yeah, it builds up a little bit more in that second verse, kind of gets you rolling, gets you moving. That's where, kind of just like that conversation, like it's where hopefully you start getting to them to loosen up a little bit and like, yeah, okay, maybe it's going to be okay, you know? And that's the whole vibe of the second verse as well. And then you know, when it breaks into that next chorus, it's that big rocking chorus and that bridge that, you know, kind of breaks down, where the bridge is super mellow. I don't know if you had something you would talk about on that, but
Oh, I've got something to talk about everything, so don't worry about that. Because even like going in, like what you're talking about, like going to the chorus being bigger, like you even had a pre-chorus in there where the construction of from the verses really doesn't differ all that much. And I looked at him like, you know what, instrumentally, I can't really talk about if this is good or bad, because the reason is with the pre-chorus, kind of the transition from verse to chorus, if the pre-chorus is going to be the same, it's going to all depend upon how the vocals kind of take that. I always get to the vocals, but I always look at the instrumentals first. So that's why I'm kind of going through that in the first section. Of course, the chorus, you get more of a grander sound than we got in the verses comparatively, because the pacing is rather the same overall. The drums play a lot heavier on the cymbals at this point. The guitar plays a little bit lighter tone to blend in more with the chorus. And it feels, again, more like that full-on band, kind of somewhat, I would say, orchestral feel, because now it feels like everybody's a part of it in terms of the band, but not like full-on orchestra. You're not going to have like these massive strings or pianos behind it, like just a fuller feel. And the full sound, I felt, was meant to show us that that fire is there and it's powerful, and we just literally have to let it, like, basically let it out, just let it happen. It's like, this is the point where it's like, it's here, the kindling's there, the fire, it's going, your fire is back on.
Yep.
Now just run with it.
Yeah, that's right. You get some wind on the flames, man, and get them rolling. I like that bridge with the way the guitar flows, and you're right, it sounds like strings. And I think we do have some strings on the back in there hidden, but and then it feeds into the breakdown bridge where you're talking about, you know, we all have scars and we fight so hard and feel it burn down deep in your heart, and I'll let it burn, you know, where you finally feel like you're crescendoing into that, you know, that moment of, all right, man, we're all in this together. We all have issues that we fight. We all have the struggle to find that, you know, what is the gasoline that lights our fire and makes it bigger? We all go through this. Every person on the planet goes through this. And yeah, to just bring us all together. And then by the end of that song, you know, it's just all marching and flowing, and, you know, the fire's raging, and you figured out what you're doing, and you realize that you can't accomplish it. And I think the music video is going to really kind of bring that through too, which is going to come out in a few weeks. But you know, it tells the stories of a few different people that, you know, are like, you know, they're discouraged in the beginning, and you know, people aren't giving them support, and, you know, then they fight through and just keep persevering. And just like Royal Bliss, you know,
Yeah.
we've been through a lot of things. And so it's that, you know, Fire Within is that story of Royal Bliss as well, where, you know, we can't sit and boob about whatever, like, oh, really, you know, we finally have a top 20 single, and pandemic hits, and we can't tour anymore, and no one's going to get to hear us, and we got to pick ourselves up and be like, you know what, we're going to figure this out. Let's write some music. And we ended up getting a record deal in the middle of it. And let's keep moving forward and be creative and do these things. And we didn't give up. You know, we could have easily been like, all right, let's go work at Amazon. But, you know, we decided not to give in, and figured out a way to keep the fire going.
Yeah, it's like you literally, I mean, it's like getting knocked down, then you get back up again. They ain't never going to keep you down. Yes, I did have to throw in a Chumbawamba reference in there. I felt like it was necessary. But it brings out a good point, because, again, when you get to that, like, instrumental break, because you do get a little bit more of this, like, emo melodic guitar solo to pop out, and it becomes more of like this, comes from this more like softer Southern rock style. It's rather cool, because it creates more of this grander sound in the overall song. It reminds us again that fire will always be there. But then the bridge, when everything kind of drops out, it can be taken as two different ways, kind of with the overall feeling of kind of going back to what that intro and first verse had feel, with that kind of just drop out in the bridge. And it can be either, you know, there are going to be more things that come your way that are going to potentially try and put that fire out, but you got to know what's going to make you, got to know what's going to fuel that fire to persevere. Or it could also be used as kind of that realization moment where it's like, you know what? This is it. This is what I want to do. This is what's going to light this fire. It could go either way, and it works perfectly with both of those, with, again, how it drops out, and with like a more melodic pace, melodramatic feel, and there's heavy toms that'll end up transitioning from that bridge back into the chorus, and that transition just gives it a much grander feel going in.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, no, you're right on the hitting the nail on the head with these. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to it like that.
I also have to ask about this music video as well because you said it kind of tells the story of Royal Bliss as well, but also said they're kind of having like a couple of different stories within this music video show this where it's kind of people further down at the beginning, then seeing that fire and light within them, and then going forward to see kind of how that change happens over the course of the song.
To a point. I mean, this is our COVID video, so we're not really in it. I'm in just a bit. But we talked to the guy, directing the music video and gave him what our vibe was, and he did a great job, putting it all together and telling the stories. So it's exactly that, where it tells, I think 4 or 5 different people's stories, or I think it's 4 people, should know better. And kind of their struggle at the beginning, and then them kind of overcoming it and fighting through, and kind of leading to the end where they're reaching their end game, their goal, and being happy that they pushed through it and they didn't believe all the negative crap.
And just hearing that, I'm making different parallels with another music video that I've seen plenty of times because it is from my favorite band, where they did something very same idea, where it's a song that focuses on more on kids going through high school that are in the LGBTQ community and dealing with different forms of bullying and harassment, showing them that it does get better, and just kind of showing those stories of how you can get so down to a certain point. But the fact of the matter is, again, those bad times are going to be there, but those bad times will end up stopping at some point, and you will get picked up to go forward. So kind of just, I always like that kind of a style as well, because especially in a song like this where you're trying to show that kind of a story, and with different people, if you show that kind of story with one person in a music video, yeah, it's going to get the message across. But if you show it with 5 people, you're going to hit on 5 different stories. You're going to hit on 5 different ways that this was built up. And people are going to have an easier time relating to maybe one other, maybe 2 more, whatever it might be. But you're giving more of a diversity for people to get into it. So you're giving more opportunity at that point. Yeah,
exactly. And there, you touched on the LGBTQ as well. And, that's one of the comments I've done in a few interviews on Fire Within, which, there's a lot of focus on that. And, in minorities that, they're going through some hard times. There's a lot of focus on them. And it's got to be extremely difficult for multiple reasons. And this is another one of those songs where it's just like, just be yourself and don't be scared to be yourself. And, most of us out here will support you and love you. And there's just a small chunk of people that are evil, hateful jerks. And, there's a lot of people that are scared to shine. And, and they need to, because the world needs more color.
Absolutely. It's because a lot of the times those evil, hateful jerks, unfortunately, are the loudest of the group. So it seems like there's so many more of them, when honestly, that. It's like going to a live music, going to a rock or metal show, no matter what it is. It's just, doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter where you came from. Doesn't matter anything about you. All that matters is the band is one of the bands on stage tonight impact you in a positive way, and you want to see them and you want to enjoy all that. Same here, man. Let's enjoy.
Yeah, let's have fun.
And then, of course, because we just went through the whole entire instrumental thing on this song with Fire Within, it doesn't seem right if I don't talk about the vocals as well. With the vocalist right here, I mean, that seems like a horrible idea to leave that out, right?
Yeah.
So
I might have to go walk to my cave to plug in my computer, though. Fair warning, I'm at 4%.
Oh, I mean, if you want to go do that right now while we're on, because I can
walk and talk, unless it's going to make you throw up.
No, I'll be fine. I've dealt with crazier, of course. I mean, like I said, I had someone's phone blow up in their hand right at the end of a podcast, so it wasn't the worst. It wasn't the craziest thing in the world. Plus, I mean, at the beginning of this, I saw you making dinner, so I
wonder how it turned out. I don't know. I don't see the sauce over here. Looks like everybody ate the pizza and not the pasta. So we'll see. It's not my fault. I did it right. Damn it.
Hey, you did it right. Okay, so if you can still hear me, because I'll start with the verses, because in that first verse, again, we had the more grungy kind of Southern rocky, a little bit of emo feeling kind of style on the guitar. Your vocals play more with a mix of like a deeper, soothing Southern rock mix with kind of like a little bit of like a country infusion with the vocal. And the deepness, in my opinion, kind of played across rather well with the sound of the guitars, in my mind, with kind of more of this more melancholic Southern grunge sound in the end. it kind of, can you hear me? Because I'm starting to see some like, it's kind of like, okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay, now we're good. Because I'm like, okay, it's getting a little weird.
Can we break?
Is it a break of that kick cap bar?
1 second.
Alrighty, for everyone that is just listening, yeah, Neal had to move from one room to the other. So hopefully.
Crap.
How's it now? Looks like we're still having.
Check. Still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Just gotta unplug this and then maybe it'll work.
All right. Well, everybody, while Neal works on a little bit of the technical issues, we're gonna just do. Are we good?
You there?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Sorry, I plugged in my studio system, which had my charger in, and then it went to a bunch of microphones and stuff. So.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So, because otherwise I was gonna do a full-on just a little plug for it, like, because I have had this happen before where I've had bands. It's like, okay, we gotta just go transition. So, like, okay, I had someone had to like, I think it was really get dinner for their kids real quick or check on their kids. I'm like, okay, I'll do a whole entire plug session. I did it for like 5 minutes. It was kind of fun. But back to
I can go away if you want to plug us.
We're plugging you the whole entire time. I'll plug it before the like when I put the podcast together. I'll plug it before. I'll plug it after. I'll plug it everywhere. So back to the vocals, kind of like first verse. You kind of play with more of this like deeper, soothing Southern rock, but also kind of like a weird like country kind of flow to the vocal, and the deepness of that played across really well with the sound of the guitars in my mind. Again, more melancholic Southern grunge sound. And the idea that things are not going very well, but it's something that I can get behind with the storytelling overall. Then you got to that like second and what the third verse would have been with more of the instrumentals behind it. And the tone kind of lightened up a bit, becomes a little bit louder in terms of volume. Again, not bad as it works to keep the sound and feel overall as the first verse did. So again, it kind of still has that nice flow of the build going on there. So when it came to the vocals, again, it really kind of helped to work with that instrumentation, really continue the vibe of the overall emotion of the song. So I was a fan of what you did there.
Cool. Thanks, man. It's interesting you picked up on the Southern. I mean, we wrote it in Memphis. And when we actually wrote most of this song, well, pretty much all of this song was kind of when we were in more of our Southern rock phase. So it did have some of that kind of vibe to it. So it's interesting you picked up on it.
I'll always pick up on the Southern rock stuff because when I was a kid, so this is back when I was probably like late grade school, middle school, and a little bit of early high school. My brother actually was a big time bowler. That's what he did. Like, of course, we're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Bowling is still a huge thing.
Yeah.
And every single week when he would go bowling for his bowling league, he would always wear the same shirt every single week. It was like his uniform. And it was a Lynyrd Skynyrd t-shirt. And the back it said support Southern rock. So, of course, there's always some sort of Southern rock that's going to be played at some point in time between him or my dad. So, either being in the car with him, of course, something like that was going to come up at some point. So, oddly enough, like I was kind of trained early on to pick up on some of those little subtle nuances with the Southern rock vibe. So, I could kind of pick it up rather well, honestly. It's kind of a weird thing, but I like it.
I was going to say, I bet he's wearing a Lynyrd Skynyrd shirt. One of my favorite shows was playing with Lynyrd Skynyrd in Boston. It was so fun.
I was gonna say, when it comes to Southern rock, what other band would like if they did like a Family Feud thing? It's like name a Southern rock band, and they had Lynyrd Skynyrd be like, it'd have to be around the triple points round, because all of a sudden it'd be like, yep, like 95% of people said Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Oh yeah, for sure. They were the epitome.
They are still the gold standard when it comes to Southern rock.
Very true. Very true.
So, of course, with the vocals as well, On Fire Within, like I said, the pre-chorus, instrumentally, it doesn't necessarily change up that much from the verses. So, of course, the vocals are going to be what really has to carry this thing in order to transition to that chorus. And we do get the same tone from you in the compared to the second half, the second verse and the third verse. But the backing kind of O's that kind of came out in there really do make this part of the song, because when you're trying to build that fire inside you to come out and make you know that you can defeat what is exactly in your way, this is the way to go about it to create that building feel. It oddly enough kind of reminded me of a Vita La Vida by Coldplay with kind of the O's in the back, but it's just that crescendoing moment through the vocals to help build that emotion up and build that feeling up inside you. So, of course, it seems weird that I'm like referencing Coldplay at this moment, but it does still make sense in terms of that building feel of the grander side of things, kind of using those O's in the back.
Yeah, really adding in those the backgrounds is funny. Whenever we remixed this thing multiple times, and that was one of the final remixes that one of the guys from the record label was like, I really want those background vocals boosted up. And it's funny because the guys in the band are super nervous about it. They're like, oh, because they're not, their favorite thing is not singing background vocals. I will just say that. And so now we're going to bring in my vocal coach to help those guys work those parts out. But they're doing a really good job. They're figuring it out. Because I do most of the harmonies and background vocals on all of our records. And then I go, here you go, guys, learn that. And they're always like, shit. But they're getting better at it. That's for sure. But yeah, the OOs, and I love Coldplay. I've always loved Coldplay, and you know, I like that vibe, the chants in the background, because I hope that, you know, when you're playing a live show, some of those audience members are singing it. And I love hearing the audience members doing the harmonies and doing background vocals. It cracks me up, but I love it. You know, it's just like, oh, yeah, because I'll be singing. I'll be like hearing some of the audience singing up, and it'll throw me off, but it makes me super happy. And I'll be like, oh, you got a good voice.
Yeah, but also when it comes to a live setting as well, it does help that kind of you bring the crowd there, and then if they're going to be able to do it in a live setting, you're going to feel that more powerful side of the pre-chorus on that kind of point. And the reason why I said it's kind of weird for me to say use a Coldplay reference is because for everyone that's listening, you guys know exactly the kind of music I love to listen to. My favorite band is Rise Against. I love listening to Ice Nine Kills, Disturbed, Hollywood Dead. I'm wearing a Falling in Reverse t-shirt right now. However, kind of when the OOs come in, I mean, think of a song like a song from another band I really like that kind of sometimes surprises people. Listen to the song Kings and Queens by 30 Seconds to Mars, especially when they go to the full-on intro. You get the whoas in there, especially when you hear that live. Again, the whole entire crowd is getting into it as well, so it just adds more up to it. So in the pre-chorus, especially on Fire Within, when you add that in there, imagine what that's going to be like live when the fans really get to know it and they really are able to join it. It's just going to amp that part up even more to the point where you get to the chorus and you're going to feel the full-on energy behind it, especially with how that's going to be transitioned into.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping they pick up on it and start singing it. Hell, I make us go through the pre-chorus a couple times just to get the audience to do it.
That wouldn't be a bad idea, honestly, because especially for that first couple of shows, or first time you're going to be able to play it, because some people might not necessarily know about it that much. Hopefully they do, though. So just kind of adding to it, but then it also adds that grander feel to it. And then you're getting the crowd to participate more. You're getting more of an engagement there. So it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah. You know, and those are those moments where it's so powerful on stage and for the audience too. And you got this chorus of strangers, man, all singing along and, you know, together in this one big, beautiful, chaotic harmony. And it's awesome.
It just really makes, again, it's what makes live music. It makes it so much better.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
And then of course there's also the chorus vocals on this, where when I listen to it, your pitch overall increased, the roughness of the vocals increased as well. So it's a little bit higher pitch, a little bit more of a grittier sound, a little bit, not as necessarily as smooth, kind of like on a rock side of it. And the volume did increase as well. Again, I thought a rather smart move because it allows the song to build on that fire inside of you coming out to defeat anything or what be going bad in your life. So it does flow overall. And I've got to be honest on this. If I had one criticism on it, it would be a little bit of that piece there. I'm going to be completely honest, and I'll give you some context behind it. I thought that the volume mix, your vocals could have been a little bit more prominent or full force, because but this is how my mind works. When I'm thinking about it, you know, that fire within, kind of really bringing it out there. With the music that I connect with, again, punk rock, hard rock, metalcore, of course, the vocals are going to be a lot rougher. They're going to be a lot more in your face. It's going to be a lot more just up front. So that's what I'm used to, and that's what I connect with the best. So that's why if I had to put a little bit of a criticism on it, that would be that. However, in terms of the overall flow of the song with how your vocals worked in the first half, especially in the verses and in the pre-chorus as well, it does make a very nice flowing sense to go here. Again, the only reason I bring that up is because I like to be honest on this, but I will give context behind my honesty, because there is something where it's like, you know, maybe it's just because I don't connect with it as well as maybe other people do. But then again, whenever it comes to my criticism, I always say this, take it with a grain of salt. That's also the listeners as well, because we all connect with music completely differently. My criticism is never to say that these songs are just, is like, don't listen to this. No. Definitely listen to this, because That's what I want you to do. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, music is like food for some people. Some people love sushi, some people hate it. It just depends. Some people like spicy, some people don't. It's but I appreciate honesty. You got to be honest. Wait, like if you're just gonna blow smoke up my ass, it doesn't do any good. The criticism is one of the best things out there. And yeah, I would like to take out all the music and have it just be the vocals. That's it. I'm just kidding.
I mean, if you wanted to try something like that, I wouldn't stop you from it. It might sound rather weird. It's like, oh, this sounds great. I wish there were some backing instrumentals behind it, but
but hey, yeah, this is just acapella style. Okay.
But that's always why, like, when I listen to songs, I always go as deep as possible as I can, because even if there's something that I'm not necessarily the biggest fan on, I'm gonna know why I'm not the biggest fan of that part. Yeah. I said port. Wow. This so much I've been talking lately. But the other part of it is I want to understand where the artist was coming from on this, why that was put in there that way, so that it makes sense to the point where I'm like, I can see what they were doing. If you look, and it's kind of like this one, if you look at music and you kind of like the flow of it, if you have more of that, more Southern rock kind of vibe to yourself or to your personality or to your musical taste, more of a little bit of a little more of a soft vibe to it, it does make a lot of sense because that song perfectly flows that way. Myself, again, I'm more of a harder brasher, upfront kind of guy with the kind of music I like, so I'm going to relate to things a little bit differently. However, if I'm going to say something, I'm going to give you the reason, and then I'm going to give you even more context behind it. So it's like, I kind of know where you're coming from.
No, I love it, man. I love it. I mean, you're a music fan, and that's awesome. My wife does the same stuff. She's one of my biggest critics, and I appreciate it. Sometimes it's tough to hear because as a songwriter, you absolutely love this music is your baby. Like these songs are your baby. And so it's kind of tough, for to hear some people be like, oh, no, this song's shit, go back to the drawing board. But I learned at a young age to, accept criticism and work with it and be like, oh, okay. Where sometimes, like when we were younger, it was really difficult to take criticism and be like, you're an idiot. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. But really growing up, it's like, I realized that I have a biased opinion on these songs. I'm just like, no, man, this song's the best. But now it's easier to take criticism and listen to it and be like, all right, okay, I see what he's saying there. That totally makes sense.
Man, I kind of learned that because as a fan, there was one band, they're alternative rock band from Italy. They sent me their music. They're like, hey, can you check this out? And I listened to it. I'm like, this is not a song that I would listen to. And I literally told them it's based upon my taste. But I listened to it and I explained some things where I can see where you're working from this instance, what you're doing on the chorus here, what you're doing on this like bridge part here. That makes it sense in the overall flow. I said, however, when it comes to me, it's just not going to be something I'm going to listen to. Or when it comes to featuring on a page, I'm not going to feature it. And then after that, we're like, I said, do you guys want to get on a podcast and talk about it? And I had him on within a week. Nice. We talked about this. We talked about this stuff, and it was me being like, for a fan like myself, I'm not going to necessarily connect with it. However, when it comes to other people connecting with it, I can see that happening, and here's why. So it's kind of like I'm gonna end up seeing, even if I'm not the biggest fan, I'm gonna end up seeing something in it for somebody, and kind of try and present it that way.
No, it's good, man. That's a good way to do it. And you understand, instead of just being like, no, if I don't like this music, no one will. You understand how people listen to music differently. And that's cool that you gave them the spotlight to, show their music to hopefully some people that got it and loved it.
That's what I'm hoping. And then I think it was either at the end of 2020 or beginning of 2021, they came out with something new and they sent it to me and they asked me to check it out and see it. And they literally said, this is going to be like our last single. So you're probably not going to necessarily but we want to get your thoughts on it. And I said, okay, I'll give you my thoughts on it. And it was something where it was even further down the line from where I would necessarily like to listen to. But when it came to the objective that they were trying to hit and the style they were trying to go with and really trying to get across this message, was more of this more kind of alternative, but also more deeper kind of indie, but also weird, like techno-y way in a way. It all kind of fit together really well. It's not something I would listen to like on my free time, but I listen, I'm like, you guys had something here. It depends on the audience. It all depends upon if you're going to try and get this to the ears of people, how are you going to market this? How are you going to push this out to people? How are you going to target this kind of thing? Because it's not for the people that are like me, it's not for me, but I know there are people out there that this is for. I know who those people are. So how can we make this work?
Yep. I have a kind of a niche market, but hey, you can still be successful in those markets.
Hey, or sometimes, people create something completely and utterly new, and next thing you know, it creates a whole new market. You never know.
Yep. New genre.
Exactly. Kind of, let's see what kind of crazy new genre could come up. Kitchen core. There we go.
Kitchen core.
It's like metalcore, but all the percussion is changed to pots and pans.
Yeah, there you go. Someone's bound to do it at some point.
Someone is. And so when it comes to Fire Within, because I always like to include this with an overall when I ever go through a song, and I'm taking a look at what I wrote. If you kept seeing my head turn, it's because when I go through songs, I end up writing this stuff down because I don't want to forget about it. So what I say is, overall, definitely not a bad take by Royal Bliss to create a song with more of a look on getting through the bad times in life. That use of the grungy country southern rock mix creates more of this tranquil sound to the song overall that allows us to ease into the fact and be inspired to light the fire inside of us in order to take the bad times and make them the good times. The vocals help us along the way every step of the way. Again, for my personal taste, I wish the chorus a little bit more of the volume on the vocals to show the power that being inspired to ignite the fire in yourself has. However, again, that might also be because the songs that have that message that I really like to listen to, they go full force, again, tend to connect better with me personally. However, again, in terms of the overall flow of the song, those chorus vocals and the volume that they're at do work out rather well. I'm just going to be honest with it and say you should listen to this when it comes out. And by the time this podcast comes out, it will be out. So you're going to see down below, it's going to say Fire Within of listen now. And yeah, just listen to what's in the bottom of the video.
Yeah, I'll get you all the links to add there.
Oh, don't worry. I add the links to the description on everything. It'll say find Royal Bliss online and everything will be down there for everybody to check out. I'm making it easy as possible for everybody.
Thank you.
And when it comes to Royal Bliss, again, I know you guys got some shows coming up, May, June, July, the rest of the year as well. And then, like you said, you got a good amount of them coming up in Wisconsin. So maybe it's even going to have to come out and, see a show. Most likely that Beaver Dam one on the 28th because, well, that just sounds like a good way to kick off a really great weekend.
Hell yeah, man. Do it. It's going to be fun. That one's always a good time. I love that spot.
Perfect, because I've never been to that spot yet. I usually hang around the Milwaukee area, or because with a lot of the bands that I like to see, also they go to Chicago if they don't come to Milwaukee, so I'll just drive down there.
Yeah, well, one way or another, you're going to have plenty of opportunities to see us this summer. That's for damn sure.
And that's what I'm happy about. So, Neal, as we close out this podcast, one thing I always like to end with is giving my guests an opportunity to say whatever they want to say at the end, plug whatever they want to plug at the end. So, Neal, man, the floor is yours.
Oh, man. Plugging wise, it's just, we have a lot of music coming out over the next 5-6 months, new record, new singles every single month. But we wouldn't have been able to do it. And I know I say this all the time, but I feel like I need to say it all the time. But we wouldn't have been able to do it with our fans and the people that have always supported us and really stepped up, bought our merchandise and donated and bought, raffle tickets to different things that we were doing. We wouldn't have been able to create these songs and record these songs without you. So just again, thanks to all our fans and you're our family and we can't wait to see you and hug you and rock out in front of your faces and sing along with you. And just thank you. And thank you for giving us our time and giving us the respect to listen to our music and hopefully there'll be some new fans out there listen to Chord Progression. So it's one of those things where we appreciate you giving us our spotlight.
Well, I appreciate having you guys on as well. I know the fans appreciate you guys making the music that you're making and are looking forward to all the new music that's coming out. So when it comes to closing out the podcast, I always close out with 3 things. First things first, like we had said, when it comes to finding Royal Bliss online, when it comes to finding Fire Within online, to stream it, to listen to it, download, whatever it might be, and then to stay connected with the band so that when things start coming out with new music, you know what it is. I know what you're thinking. Man, can we just have that one-stop shop just to, have a place to just click on a link or click on a link and just go to a certain page instead of having to search them up? Well, I got you covered. Look at the description below the podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart Radio. You're going to see Find Royal Bliss online. All their socials, YouTube, website where you can buy some of their merch, which I suggest you do, where you can stream their music, download their music. I'm going to have all those links in the description below for you. So you just have to click, bing, bang, boom. Then you can follow along with the band, subscribe to their stuff, like their stuff, buy some merch, stream their music, making it easy as possible for you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, man.
And
now sign up for email list, royalbliss.com. Do it.
Got that covered. And number 2, when it comes to the fact that I do want to see you guys play live, and hell, Beaver Dam on May 28th sounds like a good time to do it. Whenever I have a band in the podcast or guests in the podcast that I enjoy having, so this is a 100% thing that always ends up happening because I always love doing these, I always make a promise. And the promise is not an if, it's a when, because this is going to happen, and most likely it's going to happen on the 28th. When I get to see you guys perform live for the first time, I do make a promise with this, as we're in Wisconsin, because we make a lot of beer here. I do enjoy beer. If you don't drink, I totally understand it. We can always make some. There's always a combination that we made, but the caveat is this: first round's on me.
That's totally cool with me. I thought there was going to be enough follow up to that. First round's on you, and then all the rest are on us.
Nope.
Yeah, no, I'd love to have a beer with you, man. We love our beers. I think I don't know if there's any left. Let's see here. Oh, check it out. We get them shipped to us.
No way. Who sends them out to you guys?
I can't tell you. It's illegal.
I know it is.
We have different friends that Taylor, our guitarist, is in love with Spotted Cow. And we used to get, we drank so much Spotted Cow when we first started touring Wisconsin that we actually drank ourselves silly on it. So most of us are like, all right, we'll drink it. But Taylor still just loves it. And it's funny now, people, like every time we show up to a show, people bring cases and Spotted Cow. Now we're getting boxes shipped to us, like 4 cases in it. And I'm just like, how that had to be expensive as hell. This is heavy. But we're probably the only people in Utah that have Spotted Cow. Probably,
man. When you guys come to Wisconsin, if you guys want Spotted Cow, again, first round's on me. If you guys want something else, or if Taylor still wants Spotted Cow and you guys want something else, still, first round's on me.
I love it.
All right, Neal. So then, on that case, I cannot end this podcast in all good conscience by saying goodbye due to the fact that, well, I made a promise to you guys live. Again, first round's on me. And, well, goodbye seems too final. So I'm going to end it with what I always end it with because it's always has that till next time feel. I'm going to say it. See you later.
See you later, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being on, man. Whoa, folks, that's my interview with Neal from the band Royal Bliss. Be sure to check out their brand new song, Fire Within, once again. All the links in the description below, and be sure to check them out when they're playing live in an area near you, because, yes, they're playing live, and, man, I cannot wait for 2 weeks from now, because when they play that show at Beaver Dam on the 28th, I am going to be there, get to see some live music, and finally get to pay up on a debt with the first rounds on me thing, and 6-pack, 12-pack, whatever I can come up with, I'm going to have it ready in the cooler, ready to go. Plus, it'll be interesting, too, because I'm going to go home after that show, get a little bit of sleep, and then get on the road and head to Indy for the 500, baby. So it'll be a great time, and it'll be the great way to kick off a great Memorial Day weekend. So thanks to the guys from Royal Bliss. Thank you, Neal, for being on the podcast once again. And when it comes to having a fan in you, they gained at least one from this podcast, and that's me. If you're already a fan of Neal and Royal Bliss, fantastic. If you're not, I hope you become one. And for all of you who are listening to the podcast, thank you for listening. If you are not subscribed to the podcast, please subscribe to the podcast. Use Spotify podcast, iHeart Radio. Tell a friend about it. Tell your neighbor. Tell the crazy guy down the street. Tell your family. Tell a group on Facebook. Put in your Instagram story, whatever it might be. Please share the podcast. It would help me out immensely. I'm going to start asking that always at the end of these episodes. And on that note, that's it for me, guys. Thank you for watching. Listen to the Chord Progression podcast. So I'm listening to Rock, so rock and thrive. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one of the big, healthy, and hearty. See you. Yeah.